How do I meet my soulmate? How do I move on from heartbreak? Does my dream relationship even exist? Are dating apps the only way I can meet people? Are all relationships this hard? This is Between the Sheets with Dr. Love. Each week, your host dives into sex, love, dating, relationships, and everything in between. Welcome to Between the Sheets with Dr. Love.
Hey, it's me, Dr. Love, and welcome to another episode of Between the Sheets with me, Dr. Love. So today we're going to talk about the CEO trap. And this is when us as the CEO in our lives, it's when our competence kills chemistry. So if you are a woman who is an absolute weapon in life, so you run businesses, households, teams, families, crisis when it happens. But yet, when it comes to love, you find yourself thinking, why does this feel so damn hard? Like when everything seems to be so natural and come so easy to me. I mean, I can run a multi-million-dollar business, but I can't do love. And if you've ever thought, I'm successful, capable, independent, but why am I bored, frustrated, or disconnected in my relationships? Then this episode is really for you. We're talking about that CEO trap. When competence, which has saved your life in many ways, but quietly kills the chemistry in love. And before anyone panics, just take it easy. This is not about becoming smaller or weaker or less capable. This is not what I'm talking about. This is about understanding how your strength might be actually protecting you from intimacy. So let's unpack it. So I see this woman every week. She sits on my couch every single week, and she is smart, emotionally intelligent, survived things that probably would have flattened other people. And she's incredibly competent. But she says things like, I feel like I'm always the one holding everything together. And I don't feel desired. I actually feel needed, like they need me, not that they desire me. Or she'll say, I'm exhausted, but I don't know how to stop. Or if I do stop, nothing gets done. She'll tell me about her desire of wanting partnership. I want partnership. But I also don't trust anyone at the same time. How are they really going to show up for me? And when I think about this, I'll talk about a client of mine in particular. Let's call her Sarah today. She's like, you know what, Dr. Love? I don't want to be the boss in my relationship. But if I don't take charge, nothing actually happens. And so there it is. That's the CEO trap. Because what starts as competence slowly turns into control, over functioning, and emotional self-sufficiency. And what happens? Intimacy quietly slips out the back door. Now, I'm not saying the CEO trap isn't about being dominant or ambitious. It's about over-functioning. So I don't say control in a bad way, but what tends to happen, and I've gone through this as well, is that we over-function. And what it looks like is you have foresight, maybe sometimes too much, where you anticipate needs before they're even spoken. And you manage logistics, emotions, outcomes for the relationship and anyone else in that relationship. You fix problems before anyone even notices them. But you rarely ask. You just do. So receiving actually feels a little awkward, maybe a little indulgent, or even unsafe, because receiving, you're not used to it. You're such a giver or a doer. Okay. But deep down, you do believe if I don't hold this together, it will fall apart. It won't work. It will fail. So in relationships, you become the planner, the organizer, the emotional regulator, the strong one. And the uncomfortable truth here is that you can't feel chemistry when you feel like the manager. If you're looking for desire, it actually requires space. So attraction actually needs polarity. It doesn't need a manager. Intimacy needs room for the other person to meet you where you're at. But if you're doing everything, what exactly is there to meet? Not much. And so why does this happen? I mean, when you think about it, this pattern didn't come out of nowhere, right? You've got childhood roots. You've got many high functioning women that were, parentified. They were the responsible one in their families. They were the peacekeepers. They were the child that they said, don't worry about that one. She's fine. And you'd go, don't worry about me. And you'd be self-sufficient. You learned very early that being capable meant you would feel safe. And being useful also meant that you would be loved. So needing people for you became a disappointment. You stopped needing people and started to do everything on your own. You started to become competent. And competence wasn't a personality trait. It actually became a survival strategy for you. So if you add survival strategy, let's look at relationship history then. You add in a betrayal. You add in inconsistency in relationship. You add emotional labor overhaul. You add in partners who underfunctioned, and your nervous system has made a decision that relying on people is too risky, so I'm going to do it myself. And that decision did save you at one point in your life, whether it was in childhood or growing up or in past relationships. But if you're looking to do relationships a little bit different and in adult love, all of that history and decision and all of that stuff that saved you becomes your armor. And armor might protect you, but it actually also blocks closeness. And then what happens? It shows up in intimacy. So let's talk about intimacy. Let's talk about intimacy in the bedroom. So emotionally and literally, not just intimacy on its own, okay? When you feel like a CEO of your relationship organization, okay, desire starts to drop because it becomes like a business. It becomes a bit transactional. And softness feels unnatural because as a CEO, sometimes moving into softness makes you vulnerable, and too vulnerable in a business can also mean that the transactions don't happen to keep you profitable, right? So softness feels unnatural in this space. And you struggle to let go of having to do it all because you know, or you have a feeling that if you do, it's going to fail. Sex also becomes just a task. It's not an experience. You don't feel connected. So it's just another thing on the list to do to run the business. Sometimes you also feel a little bit like a mother. And a mother, a manager, I don't know if you had a mother like that, but she just had her shit together. And that's basically what you're like. You're basically either a mother or a manager more than a lover. And there's a problem because how do you have intimacy and closeness from that space? I mean, I don't think anyone ever wants to sleep with their mother, maybe their manager at times, but mum, maybe not. Okay. So you lose that sexual intimacy, that sexual spark and connection. And I had a client say to me, I don't feel turned on. I feel responsible. And when you think about it, like responsible is like not very sexy. It doesn't make you want to get your clothes off, does it? And that sentence comes up more than once a week. And it breaks my heart every single time because chemistry doesn't live where responsibility dominates. It just isn't the same thing. And then what happens if you're functioning from responsibility, you then start to have a feeling of resentment creeping in. And you start to say things like, or think things like, I do everything. Why can't they just step up? Why do I have to ask? Can't they see what's in front of them? Don't they understand what needs to be done? But no, they don't. And here's the paradox. Often, the more competent you are, unfortunately, what I found is the more passive partners you attract. And why? Because you're already running the show. Why do you need another manager? So then you get angry at them for a role that you unknowingly assigned them. You do what I say, or you stay in your lane and I'll manage it all. And look, that's not a blame statement because I know how that feels. I know where that sits. I know how that looks. Let's call that an awareness statement. Okay. There's a cost of staying in this CEO trap. There really is one. You know, you're tired, like in your bones tired, and you feel unseen and unmet, but you are confusing control with standards. And you feel cynical about love, like it doesn't exist or it's not for you, but it's not true. You actually attract people who need you rather than meet you. And when you're in that manager role, that's what happens. When you're in a business, you try and attract people who need the job. But worst of all, out of all of this, you actually don't feel chosen. You feel relied upon. You feel like love is not meant to feel like this. You feel like love is a performance review. And, you know, you don't want to be an employee or a manager, and you don't want a dependent or a child. You actually want a partner. So the CEO needs to have a shift. They need to have a shift in how they function in relationships. But here's the good news. You don't need to stop being powerful because this is not what that is. It is in your birthright or in your blood if you are a CEO, if you are a CEO boss woman or, you know, CEO in general, that, you know, being powerful is important, feeling powerful. So you don't need to stop being powerful, but you do need to practice receiving. You just need to start small. And as a woman, being strong and powerful, usually you do a lot of things on your own. But I'm saying start with the small steps. Let him open the door for you. Accept help without correcting it. Receive a compliment without deflecting it. Receiving is like a muscle. It gets stronger with practice. So you've got to find momentum to be able to sit in a place of receiving. Okay? The second thing you need to do is you need to ask what you need. Ask for help, ask for a system instead of just coping. High-functioning women just cope silently. Instead of maybe trying this. Hey, I need some support around this. Or can you take the lead on this? I'm not up for it this week. Or can you handle this for me? Asking for help or asking for assistance or whatever it is, but just asking in general is not weakness. It actually creates intimacy. You're able to like open up and rely on somebody. And I get it. It's vulnerable because what if they disappoint me? I say, let them. Give them an opportunity to show up. The other thing you need to do is stop dating the potential. This is a big one. Just stop dating what you think they can be. Okay? Competent women love a project. But let me tell you, chemistry doesn't grow from construction. Choose the behavior today. Choose how they're showing up. Is this what you want right now? Not what they're promising to be down the track. not what they're promising to be when they've sold the house or they got the new job or when they've lost weight or when they've made more money or when, his mother dies or when they move out of the house, whatever it is, when I'm divorced, whatever it is. Choose the behavior and make sure you choose consistency. You need to be choosing someone who already shows up, not someone that tells you they're going to, because there's no proof in that pudding. And the next thing I want you to do is just give one domain away. If you are with someone in a relationship at the moment, I want you to let them lead on something. And this is key. I don't want you to micromanage it. Okay? It's going to feel uncomfortable, but here is the part of the healing. They may get it wrong. They may get it wrong in your eyes, or they may do it different. They have a different way to unpack the dishwasher or pack it up or take the bin out or make the bed, whatever it is. Whatever they are taking ownership of, let them. And let them do it the way they want to do it. You want to stop managing them for you to get something, to receive some relief. Okay? The other thing we want to do is learn how to repair. So the language of repairing. Instead of control, we want to try honesty. Okay? It might sound like this. I'm activated right now and I need a moment, but I'll come back when I'm feeling a little bit softer or less regulated. That really is regulation without domination. And that's what you want. Hey, I'm really triggered right now. I feel really uncomfortable. Leave me for 5 minutes till I just work this out and let me come back to you. Ownership about what's coming up for you, but you are communicating. You're not icing them out. You're not leaving them to guess what's going on for you. Okay? So from my heart to your heart, I want to leave you with this. Your competence got you through. Yeah? It built your life. It protected you when you had to be strong, but it's not the same skill set that you need that allows you to feel loved. Love requires risk, and I get it. In business, there is an element of risk, but less control. So receiving requires trust, space, which is chemistry. Chemistry, remember, requires space, and you don't need to dismantle who you are. You don't have to stop being strong. You don't have to stop being powerful. You don't need to do that. And if you find that you are becoming a version of yourself that is not who you are, question the relationship. It could be the red flag. Okay? You just need to stop bringing armor into intimacy. You are allowed to be held. You're allowed to rest. You don't have to run on a treadmill all day. You're allowed to let someone meet you. You're allowed to let go of management roles. You're allowed to have people not rely on you or not lean on you. You're allowed to have people meet you. So if you're dating right now, I want you to reflect. Are you dating potential? Because if you are, they are probably never going to meet you at where you're at. You will never feel like you can drop the armor if you are dating potential. Why? Because they are never hitting the mark. The mark is somewhere out there, and which means they are continuously disappointing you. So if you're dating potential and expecting to feel love or expecting to feel safe, forget it. Your armor will stay and you will never, ever, ever be able to drop it. And I think that is the main thing today. I need you to work out who you're with and how you're reacting. So what is it that what's the armor that you're coming to the relationship with? And is your partner meeting you now or somewhere in the future? So upon reflection, I want you to think about what we spoke about today. I really hope that you were able to get something out of this episode. Just remember to share it. Share it with someone you think might, get something out of the episode. Remember to like and follow the podcast. And if you're going to share it on Instagram, don't forget to tag me at Dr.Lurve, Dr. Love. So I will see you on the next episode. Thank you for joining me. I'm Dr. Love.
Thanks for listening to the podcast with Dr. Love. For all show notes and resources mentioned in this episode, head to www.drlove.com. That's DRLURVE.com. Got a question for Dr. Love? Email her at ask@dr.love.com. Love the show? Remember to subscribe on your favorite podcast app. Leave us a review or share it with your friends. Thanks for listening, lovers. We'll see you on the next episode. This is Between the Sheets with Dr. Love.